Fair enough. All right, so this is Ken's replay in the Vampire 2. It's a random battle. And let's pull up his build and let's talk through it. Now, the Vampire 2 is unique in that she's got crawling smoke. She's like the Haida at tier 7 in some cases, right? She's got the crawling smoke. She's got the ability to use hydro. Now, at tier 10, a lot of destroyers have heals, but Vampire 2 does not. That's one of the things that she sacrifices in order to get access to the smoke and the hydro. And you can see she also gets an engine boost consumable. I can't remember how do you get the Vampire 2? Is it Research Bureau? I think it's Research Bureau. It's been a while since I picked it up. Thank you, Cthulhu. I knew somebody would know. She's well worth the points. If you've got the Research Bureau tokens, points, whatever, and you're looking for a good ship, Vampire 2 is good if you can take advantage of her gimmick. And her gimmick is, frankly, you bait an enemy destroyer into charging you, smoke, use your hydro to keep them detected, and then just gun them to death. Which is fun. So let's take a look at what Ken did for the build. Main armaments mod 1. Hydroacoustic. Search modification 1. Keep the hydro going longer. Smoke generator mod 1. Okay. Now, again, in theory, these two you want to be going in tandem at the same time. So you might want to double check the action time and cooldown of both consumables and make sure that they're about the same. It looks like they are. Yeah, they're actually like within 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. That's perfect. So by all means, use both of these, and that works perfectly. Steering gears. Now you do not have access to propulsion because these ships have kind of built-in propulsion. So steering gears is okay. You can see your rudder shift time is 3.53.
What's the time without the modules?
4.41. No problem, Lich. Sour Daring, take off the heel, and one set of torques.
No.
Crawling smoke.
I meant the smoke and hydro modules.
Oh. If you went without both of them?
Yeah.
105, 123. They're about the same, too.
The only reason I bring that up is instead of the repair that you just put in there for the engine, the protecting engine one is almost a staple for most of these slot 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like that in conjunction with last stand can get you out of some tricky situations where your engines are knocked out. So you know, I'm going to assume you have last stand. I'm trying not to cheat, but I'm just saying there's a reason a lot of DDs take that and obviously last stand so you can still function. So you might want to think about that. Like what you have isn't horrible. It really depends on how aggressive you are. Like clearly, if you're very aggressive, you will be getting damage and engines knocked out.
Right.
Especially at the start of the game. Like if you can play more passive early, and then start that aggression mid to late game to where there's not as many cruisers, hopefully, and your team is succeeding, it might not be a problem, but that you might want to think about because, well, we get to see one game. We don't know what the typical game is for you in this.
So what Putin is basically talking about, y'all, is at the beginning of an engagement, when the first salvo or a couple of shots come in before your smoke screen has, covered your ship, you typically lose your engines. And that's what Putin is saying is, if you lose your engines, okay, that means you have to DCP that pretty much right away, unless you, of course, have last stand. And so he's saying by going engine room protection, you get less of that, so you have your DCP available for other things if needed. That being said, I can understand the idea of doing these two together and just, since the timing works, that's fine. It's just the other question, of course, too, in addition to Putin's question of how much do you YOLO is, how often do you use these two all the way up until they've expired, you know? So, anyway, you've gone for main battery, which makes sense too, so you can kill off whatever destroyers you see. I don't know if there's no special captain, right? So there's... Okay, sorry. Felt hair tingling. So let's take a look at What's up, Carl? Over on YouTube. Let's take a look at your build. Consumables. So you've gone into full consumables. Consumables enhancements. Adrenaline rush. Concealment expert. Preventative maintenance. There's your last stand you were talking about, Puddin'. Survivability expert. And then you've got radiolocation, and then finishing up with liquidator.
Now, does that thing actually say the order they picked it in?
It's I don't know. Some people have told me it's not the correct order. So, I mean, I think you would go this way, this way. Oh, you're warrior. Cool.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm pretty sure every staple DD player who has a functioning Synapis obviously just goes down that line to, concealment.
Yep. Okay.
Like, ironically, I would probably change out Flood for just turret diverse. I mean, because it seems like it was like, I got 1 point, let me put it somewhere.
See, I was actually thinking about this. I was thinking take out the liquidator, take out the consumables enhancements. You lose 10% uptime. Pick up superintendent, so you get one each of these consumables. You get another, all three of these.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense too.
It's a good utility build. As far as the turret traverse, I agree with you. That would be helpful too. Liquidator's fine. Turret traverse is fine. If you've got radiolocation, your turrets are probably pre-trained on your closest target. Probably. So, But the build that you've got, Ken, is fine. It's not terrible. So we're not trying to say respec your captain. Just want to put out another possibility.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's all it is. Like, I recently had a Mogador game. Somebody asked me to play it, and like my RPF showing on the Yamato, that's like 8 kilometers from me. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those, like, I noticed that the Elbing just killed our Montana. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, so I don't think the Elbing's going to be 2 kilometers in front of me when I pop out in front of this island, and surprise, surprise, the Elbing was 3 kilometers in front of me. So it's one of those situations, like, I'm kind of glad I had the turret traverse, but it's one of those, probably if I was a little bit better at my situational awareness. But I mean, luckily I just dunked on the poor Elbing. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things. I like for my gunboat destroyers, turret traverse, because I can full just turn and not worry about my turrets not staying on target. Mm-hmm. I don't even think I take liquidator on the shimmy. I actually take turret traverse on the shimmy.
Shimikaze, I would probably take turret traverse. Yeah. Yes, I'm not sure.
Probably the worst example of a gunboat.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Ken, where you got the recommendation from about that, but anyways, food for thought. And then signal-wise, you got anti-det, fire reduction, fire chance, ship speed, consumables, smoke generator uptime. Okay, and then Hydra uptime. These two, you can probably get away without them as well. Moving captain. Oh, okay. So your Haida game that you did. Okay, fair enough. I don't know if that was just me or if Grunty was in there too or not, but anyways. Now you've got some more thought. But these two flags are pretty expensive, and I would say I wouldn't bother using them unless you're tryharding it in like ranked or clan battles or something. You could save them for something else.
I mean, if he's got thousands of them,
yeah.
Like, I would ditch one of the fire ones. Because I know one's more expensive than the other. Like I know those two flags are also expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be running the cheapest flag in the game that, like, I think literally everybody can afford. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is nothing more satisfying than that 100th game where you get to ram a submarine.
Mm-hmm.
And that will help you survive.
Yep. Carl, you're hearing from Puddin'. You should see his thing popping up on the right side of the screen. Try to make it so people know who's chatting. But yeah, so I mean, you could definitely go with this. I honestly, I would probably drop these two, pick up ramming, and pick up the flooding, and just call it a day. That's probably what I would do differently. But other than that, I think you're fine. And yes, Carl, we can see what you're saying in chat, by the way.
I mean, the
Okay.
thing is, like you say, he's gone extremely heavy into those consumables. So I'm going to assume he's
Mm-hmm.
really playing strong into the gimmick of the
Right.
ship, which
Right.
sometimes can be the trap of the ship per se. You know, like how many people in a Zao at the beginning of the game want to go and find that submarine and not realize they're literally sailing to their dock when they could just patiently wait?
Yeah. So I want to point out something too. My build doc here for Vamp Deuce suggests heavy AP and also Mabas. And both of these, I'm not so sure about. It's another reason why I say, you have to go based off of how you play the ship and what works for you. Because if you're never using AP shells, then that's useless. And Mabas at 5%, it's okay as long as you're getting to heavy gunfights. But I think you're far better off using radiolocation just to know where things are. So just want to highlight that for a second. And let's get into our replay before we spend too long about this. This is Hotspot. And this is a random battle. Now you are top tier. There's a poor couple tier 8s in here. Unfortunate for them. Got a Benson on your side and a Vlad on your side. Sucks to be them.
Why? That's challenge accepted, baby. Look at all that extra experience.
Frankly, if I'm looking at this setup, there's no carriers, so that definitely helps for both destroyers' survivability. If I'm playing as the Benson, Salem could have radar. A gear has, of course, the extra hydro range, so I'm not so worried about that at the Benson. Now Oland, who can have there's a Commissar. Okay, so he's got planes at least. Yeah, whatever.
I'm actually not a big fan of going straight into C-cap if I spawn on the side as the DD.
Hmm.
I like seeing what's out on the 910 line. Right, because a lot of players, like the cruisers and the battleships, will like to play the 910 line.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And this does kind of force you to go into C. Now, you do have radio location telling you that something is over there, and C is being flipped, so, I mean, that comes in handy.
I mean, anybody who's done enough clan battles already knows where the destroyer's at.
Yeah, he's south of that island at sea right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, like, the reason I would say not to go in and potentially contest, it puts the enemy DD into where is the other destroyer, because most people go in. But the famous words of Hap Father, it's not who gets the cap first, it's who holds them the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the picks definitely help. And, like, look at the ships that are kind of already going outside. I do like the way the enemy DD did cap.
The Marceau?
Yeah, he reversed and got it and just left.
Mm-hmm. I will say this, though, his Luck Chuck Torpedo actually just hit the destroyer. But his Luck Chuck Torpedo, because of that, he missed out on getting into the cap in time to stop the progress. one of the things that I like to do is I like to let the ship. Oh, there he is again. I like to let them work their way up on cap progress, and then when they're about 5 to 10 seconds away from capping, get in the cap and stop them, because it incentivizes them to stay put. And if you've got your teammates available to shoot, whatever, that's a dead destroyer right there. Anyway, let's go into this here. Sunter GB, thank you very much for the follow. I'm really surprised. Okay, you are now. See, look, you just lost your engines, which actually kept you visible a little bit longer.
The other thing, that's a French destroyer, and this really doesn't pertain to like battleships or cruisers so much. But when they start getting to about half to lower than a half, you're actually better off as another destroyer switching to AP for the overpens to mitigate French saturation. And I say that because, like, you're not doing the thousands of damage that a battleship or cruiser can do. It starts getting down to the hundreds.
Yep. You've got an opportunity to chuck torpedoes down this channel here. I'm surprised you're not doing that.
I don't disagree, because the poison's backing up and it's got hydro.
Sure. But, I mean, you've got 3 ships all over there. So, at the very least, you encourage them to keep backing up if the torpedoes get spotted. You could also single fire them one at a time. I don't like okay, now it's happened. You backed out too far. You weren't paying attention to where you were moving. And so you actually ended up beaching the island and then forcing to back off.
When you're backing up into the DD, like, just count in your head to like 3 seconds and then stop moving backwards for that split second and then start reversing. You will always stay in your smoke.
Yep.
Your smoke does not keep up with you if you are reversing.
Right. Now, Puddin was talking about... Oh, look, you beached again. Puddin was talking about going down that 910 line. Take a look at what got discovered down there. There's the Shimakaze. It might be time for you to think about getting out of here and not be worried about damage and stuff like that. In other words, you keep backing up, you could run into the Marceau, you could run into the Shimakaze, and you're not thinking about that. Matter of fact, you're shooting. I would not be shooting right now. I would be waiting a minute and a half for your consumables to return before I open up here. This is very risky.
I would definitely stop shooting after getting the fire.
Why run? Because this is your opportunity to reposition. They all know where you are. If the Marceau is a good player, he can get into a spot to shoot you and surprise you while you're busy focusing on them. Oh, look! You're being shot at by the Marceau!
Ironically, if the Marceau player was a little bit wiser, he would be running up the 910 line to get the angles on him.
But, I mean... Well, you have island cover until you lost it, and someone spots you, and that would be the Shima. So, I mean, you got slapped by the Slava. You didn't get killed, but you are detected still. So the problem with thinking you've got island cover is you simply... I'm going to pause it for a second, and what I want you to do, Ken, if you look at the mini-map here, and you look at the range of your main battery and just kind of mentally look at that and say, do I know for sure that nothing is in that range? Do I know for sure? If I do, then yes, I have island cover. But you started shooting, and then guess what? Something just happened to be right there to spot you, and that would be the Shimakaze.
Ironically, the Shimmy did the correct thing too. Let everyone else shoot you while he kept you spotted. And then once you started moving and like the gig was up, he took a pop shot at you.
Mm-hmm. Now, by the way, the Shimakaze is also divisioned with the Marceau. So you better believe both of those two are coordinating together to try to get you killed. Oh, there's the Hydro.
Pop your smoke. If you pop
Yep.
your hydro, you pop your smoke. It's literally at the same time.
And you got to be slowing down too. Little delayed on that. I think you got excited that you've got a Shimakaze broadside dead to rights to you. Nope, he killed the 8 gear. That's cute.
What you should do is pop the smoke first, then your hydro.
Hmm.
Right. Like you knew you were going in and hell or high water you were going to get the shimmy. It's much better to pop the smoke than the hydro, just in case something accidentally does spot you. Like accidents like that happen all the time.
But you can see the gimmick in action there, right? Using the two of them together. Now, you could also, I didn't see you doing this before, but you could also use the engine boost to slow yourself down quicker to get in within smoke cover faster. Like right here, you could be doing that, and that's one perhaps less salvo that they get on you. Very greedy going for the DCP there, but hey, it worked.
I mean, once again, the streamer's not paying attention to the time. Game's over.
I don't think Ken was paying attention to the time either. He was really focused on that on that Marceau, and rightfully so. So not a bad game. You came in 3rd place there. Let's talk about that Benson. Look at how much work the Benson did.
I mean, all 3 DDs. Like, ironically, this game proves destroyers win the games.
Yes. That's what I always tell people. You want to win games? Play Destroyer.
Like, even back in the RTS days, like, and even now, when people go carriers, what does a wise carrier do? He goes after the destroyers.
Right.
Because they're the things that can get on the cap and cap it without being detected, hopefully.
Yep.
Unless it's a Marceau or a Holland.
Or Sherman.
Well,
Or Elbing.
Yeah.
I have no I myself literally have no problem losing planes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I notice my teammates will shoot at it. Like, granted, it turns into if my teammates won't shoot it, I'm not going to bother to spot it because, well, what's the point anyways?
Right.
Yep.
But if I'm losing planes and they're shooting at it, I'll lose them all. I mean, what am I going to do? Burn out of planes?
Yeah. Not anymore, but yeah.
You know, but I mean, even back in RTS, like, okay, I'll sacrifice something for the DD. Like that to me is a worthy sacrifice.
Yep. For the trivia question, I'm gonna guess that was from Peru. We'll find out. Ken, I don't know if there's any other questions you've got. I hope we gave you some good feedback here.
I will agree with that. Like, you went in with 3 speed boosts. You left with three speed boosts. Use them either to slow down or when your stuff is out, use it to reposition quicker.
Yep.
Like when you got spotted there, even with your engines down, hit it because it will actually get you moving a little bit faster because you are using it.
Right. Right. But also help you slow down faster. Uruguay. Okay. I would say the other thing too would be, you know, the other thing I like to do with that engine boost is actually use that to pop out of my smoke and then slow back down again. It helps me with being able to spot things. You work on that map awareness, did not realize, yeah, exactly, right. So, a lot of people don't realize that, but engine boost impacts the percentage of your speed each time. So, your speed gains or shrinks more rapidly with engine boost going. Okay, cool. Could use a title for that if anybody has an idea. Gimmicks, I'm thinking. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, Jake, but engine boost will help you slow down faster. Okay. We're going to drop this, and Ken, thanks again for sending in the replay. You didn't want to learn on a Sunday.